Hi everyone, and thank you for your continuing support of the channel. I hope you can hear me. I'm in my bed and I'm not going to be able to turn the sound up, but pardon me, I'll try and speak as loudly as possible. I have been doing a lot of research on PR and marketing, and I wanted to do tonight's remote on Twitter, Elon Musk, why Elon Musk is struggling, what's going on with social media, and based on what I can figure out about what's going on with Google that sells advertising on social media. So I do have a remote here based on both studying and on meditation. So here is what the remote looks like. And so basically it works like this. There are companies that sell content, like crime and trial or whatever those YouTube channels are. So those YouTube channels are owned by people like Dan Abrams, who's a conservative. So it's much cheaper to produce than, say, on a major network. So what they did to make money is that they set up these channels which are slant towards either left or conservative, depending on who the channel is, like TYT, and it's a cheap way to produce a show. And so what a PR person does is that if they've got enough money, they will pay those small quote-unquote channels or networks to produce content that slants either left or right, depending upon the political leanings of that channel. And so what's happening is that when you go into this just from a meditation, is that you and I cannot afford to advertise our channels, so we could get lost in the noise. What's going to win our channels is that people genuinely like our channels. They subscribe, we make a little bit of money from commercials, not a lot. Hopefully it covers our taxes, whatever. But for somebody with a major PR client, say you want to help your political client become a member of Congress. So what you would do is the PR person would pay these fake networks a sum to speak well. And what would happen is that it would almost be like a bot. And they would all be saying, this congressman is amazing. And they would all be repeating themselves. And it would wind up in your feed, because the other thing that the PR people are doing is that they're spending money in advertising so that it will wind up in your feed, whether it's wanting you to watch a trial and then trying to sway you in the trial. Now, what's concerning about what happened in the last 6 weeks and how everything went down is that this is starting to look like, with these public trials and these PR people having these manufactured networks owned by people like Dan Abrams, the alt-right, people who put money like the Daily Wire, is that if you don't have a sequestered jury, if you have people going home every night being bombarded by what they think is news, they don't understand that Google's just making money. It's just a search engine. It's whoever wants to pay to advertise to get you to watch that network and then sway you towards that belief system. Now, the problem is that you have the facts. You have objective reality, and then you have PR people and PR and lawyers that slant conservative, like Dan Abrams, that will slant the news. And so without knowing it, you're watching alt-right news. And so when I did a Google search, I found that what was winding up in my public feed was these crime shows that wanted me to watch the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, even though I had no interest in watching a trial. I didn't even know why it was in my feed. I tend to watch ghost stories. So I kept blocking it, but it kept being pushed back into my feed. Now that's because somebody spent money advertising, a tremendous amount of money. Somebody wanted me to watch that trial, and specifically that when I Googled the channels were owned by conservatives and members of and the alt-right. For example, in my feed, I was getting a lot of stuff from Ben Shapiro, talking at various different colleges throughout the United States, being really cool and shaking people's hands, and et cetera, because he is revving up to run for political office. I think that's fairly obvious. And the Daily Wire is his show, it's his brand, and so it works with PR to have the most Twitter attention. And so what's happening is that it's going from the PR people. They're spending money and hiring these political groups, whether it's to the left or to the right. They take the money and then they regurgitate a left or a right viewpoint on their network, and then they spend money through the PR people to advertise those channels so that you will be forced to watch their viewpoint, and before you know it, you're beginning to parrot either a conservative or a left. So the solution is to anytime you wind up having things forced in your feed, the way to protect yourself is to find out who owns these networks and why did it wind up in your feed, who's advertising it. But here are the things to be aware of. Some of these pop celebrity things have turned out to be fake. They just advertise negative or positive press for celebrities based on whoever the person is who's hiring. So a lot of that celebrity stuff, the celebrities, the PR, the managers pay for that. Usually it's to popularize a celebrity, but it can also be used to bash a celebrity. So all of that PR that you saw the last 6 weeks against Amber Heard, we followed the money. This is an open secret. It's not a conspiracy. This is public information through Adam Waldman. Now, when I practice as a heart-centered remote viewer, I try to get past the noise because I go to the heart. So for me, I was up here on the top listening to the PR stuff with the rest of you, and I knew nothing, but it was winding up in my feed, but something felt off. So when I went and did a deep dive, I found bots, and I found the way that the system works. So from Google's perspective, from YouTube's perspective, they're making a ton of money. They're selling directly to the PR people who, now, if you've got a major client like Deripaska or Ben Zayed, out of Dubai, who's holding his family members hostage. If this is the type of money that's being poured into a PR campaign, then a little penguin like me, there are people in West Hollywood. There are people in positions of power. There are people that are A-listers that sit up at night and you smoke your weed and you drink your wine and you watch this channel. And there are people in DC that do the same thing. And hopefully I've entertained you over the years. I hope that the people who have been silent for the last 2 months will take that plunge with this little penguin and put yourselves out there, because this is bigger than me. This is bigger than my ego. This is bigger than whether or not you like this channel. our democracy is not for sale. And I pray that all of us have the wisdom to be able to discern the messages we are receiving. Thank you, everyone, for the support, and thanks for watching.